Welcome everybody to another adventure with the Temple of Limitless Light. Today we were going to talk about doing a daily practice with the seven rays. The seven rays of the Theosophist that we were talking about last time, if you're here, goes back to ancient times. Of course, the Egyptians are probably the source, and also a guy named Al-Kund, who was a Muslim philosopher and scholar and alchemist in the 800s. I think he lived from 800 to like 875, and he was part of that whole Renaissance of the um, magical Hermetic thought that went on in philosophy and science, and everything kind of was passed from the Romans and the to the Arabic cultures. I mean, they took all that material and just really ran with it. And of course, you go forward, and it goes into Paracelsus and the other philosophers of the Renaissance that come forward with the astrology, the seven planets of the ancients. And Hermeticism really goes with the idea that there are these seven like rays of thought that come from the creator and flow through four elements or four Kabbalistic worlds to sort of create this sort of rainbow effect of energy that manifests the universe. And back in the day, I'm sure they felt that very literally, because they would talk about how, for instance, you can't see the force that makes a magnet work. Everybody loved to play with magnets back then, and I still do. Magnets are awesome. This invisible force, the invisible effect that transmits an effect that we can't see with our senses. We can't feel it, but we can see the effect. Like heat, for instance. You could take a pot and get it really, really hot, not so it's glowing red until it's very warm. Put it there, and you can feel the heat, even though you can't really see. You can't see how the heat is transmitted to you. And so, sorry about that. So there's this idea of these occult forces, these rays and things, these energies that are transmitted, but we can't see how. And so these are the occult forces. And today we kind of accept that. Like, for instance, gravity is something that was Newton and others were like heavily criticized for having this elegant theory of how everything worked, how the planets went around the Earth, but the invisible force was making it all go. It's like, how can you're just replacing one occult force with another, instead of fairies moving the planets around the solar system, now it's gravity, right? So this is still a part of our lives, these sort of invisible forces. And part of the Hermetic belief is that the universe is a whole, it's a pleroma. It's divine, a perfect expression of the creator that's intimately unified. It's absolutely unified down to like every atom is connected to every other atom in the universe. And because of that, we can cause effects outside of ourselves, that our mind is a way to manipulate these occult forces. And that can be done with thoughts and symbols and sounds and images. And the Golden Dawn, they say, by images and sounds, all powers are awakened and reawakened. And that's the idea here, that we can create these effects in our lives. Now, we may not be willing at this point anymore to believe that the energy of Mars is an energy force like gravity going out and organizing atoms in the universe and karma. But I think if we think about how throughout our culture and our karma and cause and effect, how everything is affected by everything else, how everything is affected by the conditions that came before it, that there is a universal expression of cause and effect, and that we can approach that and by looking at it in terms of the seven rays. You know, you have the seven rays, which are the blue ray of love and wisdom, which is Jupiter, in effect, the Jupiterian rays. So if you want love and wisdom and expansion in your life, you want to work with the blue ray. The yellow ray of the active intelligence, which is the sun. And the sun makes everything intelligible and illuminated, and it's the light and essence of our personalities. Doing a daily practice where you invoke the second ray of the sun, the yellow ray. In fact, that's what I've been doing lately, is I've been invoking the sun's ray. Then we have the scarlet ray of will and power, which is Martian, will, energy. When we work with Kabbalah, we talk about Gevura. It's the strength of our will to be able to, focus and use our energies wisely with wisdom and courage. The force ray of Mercury, which is the orange ray. And the orange, well, orange is the color of Hod on the tree of life. If you look at the tree of life, the way that it's designed, things are a mixture of different colors. And so Hod is a mixture of the color of Tipureth and Gevura. Red and yellow give you orange. Let's see if I think I have a chart with the color. Well, it doesn't really have the colors. But the Kabbalah, the tree of life, is another tool that we use to sort of relate these ideas. The fifth ray of Saturn, the green ray of rational knowledge and of logic. Saturn with the contraction is organizing principles. If you need learning and thinking and the ability to set good boundaries, perhaps there's things that you want to eliminate, you need protection, you need to focus, Saturn. And the fifth ray. The sixth ray of Venus, which is purple and royal, the ray of devotion and idealism. So the Venetian ray is not only love and lust, but also devotion and idealism of the artist and the willingness of the mystic to be devoted to the divine. So it has a both very spiritual aspect and mundane aspect, depending on what our particular needs are. And the seventh ray, which is the order of ritual magic or ceremonial magic, the indigo ray of the moon. And lunar energy is where we tap into the subconscious, our dreams, how things would manifest there. And that whole energy of the moon making things increase and decrease, those lunar aspects of our subconscious where we can really focus in on our shadow work and such. So the calls of the seven rays are available on the file section, and they're pretty self-explanatory. They're very short. They're very short prayers that you can use to invoke the seven planetary energies. Now, okay, so now how would you go about doing that? Well, oh yeah, I should admit, they are written both in English and in Enochian. And we use Enochian because it is the celestial language of the angels. In theory, Enoch was the last person to have spoken this language. John Dee would have probably called it Adamic or celestial speech. It's one of the things he was searching for was the language that people spoke before the fall of the Tower of Babel, which is a whole other discussion. Whether or not you want to go with Enochian as a real language or not, that's a discussion for another time. one thing I can assure you, it's highly effective at creating trance states and bringing up very powerful imagery. And another beauty of it, it is completely culturally free. Since it's a channel language, we're not doing anything that could be interpreted as a cultural appropriation because it's channeled, and the angels don't mind us using it. And it gives us a magical language that we use only for magic. When we're speaking Enochian, we're doing magical work, and that's the only time you use it. It makes it incredibly powerful for creating the trance states that we need to tap into the subconscious to pull forth these energies and these powers. And they're very short. They're very short and very effective. I can promise you that. The rays are dedicated to 7 angelic forces. Now, these 7 angels are the 7 angels in the Segalim de Amet. Show, but in Milo's book, these 7 angelic names are generated by a bit of cryptography. I would get Lon Milo's book, Enochian Vision Magic. It's a wonderful book. If you want to understand Enochian magic, this is what you want. It's readable, it's intelligible, contains its own system and explanations of all the tools and the events that led to the transmission of the Enochian system. And he gives you his own ideas, which are highly effective for using the material. Now, the 7 angelic names are derived from this outer ring that has letters and numbers, kind of count back and forth like you're opening a combination lock. And this whole thing, this whole Segalim sigil of truth, sigil of life, you create one, or you can print one out and just trace it with a pen, so you can have the effect of creating your own, acts as like a high gain antenna for the magical work. What we're doing with the magical work is we're asking for wisdom to go about our lives in a more effective way, to see through our own illusions and be more effective. Far more powerful than simply asking for change. Asking for the wisdom to make the change yourself is the order of magnitude more powerful than to give your power away and hope that somebody else fixes it. No, give to me the wisdom and the power to change my life. And see how the doors open and the barriers just fall away. So these 7 angelic names, they're in the document. I think I would like to add to the document, there are also little sigils that go with the names of these 7 angels. These are the angels of brightness who comprehend the 7 inward powers of God, known to none but himself, is what's said by the transmutation. It was probably Michael, sounds like Michael, when John Dee received this material. So that's in the file section for you to use. So how do we go about using this for a daily practice to bring these very powerful energies into our lives? Well, if we know the LBRP and the ritual of the hexagram, we can create sacred space and then call these energies in a very simplified form. So if you haven't seen the 7 videos invoking the 7 planetary energies, I would highly recommend that you go to the YouTube site and listen to those. If you sit in a trance state and just allow your mind to go into the ritual, you should, because there's a guided visualization at the end, you should get a vision of the planetary's energies. Because when you do a daily practice, you're going to do just a simple LBRP, LBRH, and then the invocation of the planetary energies. And at that point, while you're reading the call for the planetary energies, you want to remember how you felt in the ritual. So there's a period of the deep work where you're empowered. And then once you're empowered, you can call the power up quickly, very easily, to be able to focus and manifest it into your life. So a simple daily practice would be Kabbalistic Cross, LBRP, LBRH, and then to read the call. And that would be all you would need to do on a daily basis to very, very powerfully affect your karmic field, the macrocosmic, to manifest things in your life. You could also add in the greater ritual of the hexagram and a middle pillar exercise. If you were really wanted to target something to manifest in your life very strongly, you could do that as well. And you could also create a talisman to tie to the particular ray of cosmic energy. Create a talisman based off the talismans, the sigils for the 7 planetary angels, the 7 angels of brightness that the calls are specifically attuned to. Or you could use Agrippa, and Agrippa has plenty of information on that too. LBRP, yes. That's a very simple daily practice, and I'll do it. I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. You could do those 3 things and then visualize, set your intention, and send it out into the universe. And that is enough as a daily practice to really have an impact. If you want the boost, then you could add in the greater ritual, the hexagram, the invoking, which is on our site, and a middle pillar before you do the call. The LBRH, the greater ritual of the hexagram to invoke the planetary's energy, will bring up that planetary energy really powerfully, and a middle pillar calling down the energy will massively empower you, and then you can do the call. Since this system is very modular, you can take the different pieces and add or remove them depending on what level of energy, what level of power, and what time frame that you have. When I do the demonstration in a minute, see, it probably takes me about 5 or 6 minutes. I'll set a timer. We can time me where I will quickly, in a relaxed way, do my morning practice. Now, I would advise doing it in the morning within an hour of sunrise. You could also time it, like do the moon on Monday, Saturn on Saturday, the sun on Sunday. You could do it that way. And that might be a good thing to do for a week or 2 so that you get them all in, you get them tuned into the days of the week. That would be a really good way to get started. And then you could also just simply do the sun every day as a way to bring the solar energy, kind of bring all the energies in. And then you could also bring in the energies of particular ray, depending on what you want to manifest. Like if you wanted more money and wealth and things in your life, then of course you would do Jupiter every single day. But yeah, I mean, I think you see, once you have all the pieces, you can start assembling them in different ways to create the effects that you want. And once you have the initiation and the basic skills, then you can start designing things for yourself. And of course, you want a journal. Close this up. But yes, this is designed to be. Oh yeah, you should totally do the sun ray with Resh. Do your Libra Resh and then go right into the sun's ray? Sure. You could do the sun, you could do the Naki and Karla 7 rays along with Libra Resh throughout the day, if that's what you mean. I think that's a great idea. I don't think you're going to be looking at too much until you start thinking about doing things like adding in like a Liber Samak, you do the headless rite along with these invocations. Those things that might be a little much, but if you're going to do a ritual like that, then naturally you're going to be setting that up with this particular time and a place. Okay, this necklace isn't happening right now. Class is a pain. I don't really need it because we're doing a daily practice. We don't have to get too fancy. So all I need is my calls. All right. Get it to follow me. Okay. All right. So here I would come in here in the morning. Coffee is brewing. I need to get my act together for the day. Let's see. Stopwatch. All right. All right. So let's see how long this takes. I've started a timer. Typically what I do, have a little piece of incense, break the incense in half to have a little bit, make it last. Little piece, you don't have to use a whole stick. I'm going to do the practice. I have to turn away from the camera because that direction is east and the temple. First, a Kabbalistic cross, visualizing myself growing taller and taller. So the earth is but a small ball beneath my feet. Reach up to the brilliance above my head, pull it down. Eto Malkut Vigatula Vegavura Leolam Amen. And then go straight into the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Yehovah. Try to be very mindful, especially about your feet, how you move about the circle. Adonai. Ehyeh. Agela. Before me, Raphael. Behind me, Gabriel. At my right hand, Mikael. At my left hand, Uriel. Around me, flames and pentagrams. Within me shines 6-rayed star. And then go straight into the lesser banishing ritual, the hexagram. This is one, there's a lot of different styles too. I'm going to do the one that we have on our site that we use. Yud, Nun, Resh, Yud, INRI. Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother. Scorpio, Apophis, the Destroyer. Soul, Osiris, slain and risen. Iao. Osiris slain. The morning of Isis. Hopeless triumphant. Osiris, reborn and resurrected. LVI. X, lux, light of the cross. Let the divine light descend. Ararita. In the hexagram ritual, I am the sun. And so I go counterclockwise, following the precession of the equinoxes. Summer solstice, fire. Oh, sorry. Spring equinox, fire. Summer solstice, water. Sun is moving into Cancer. Ararita. These are the vanishing elemental hexagrams from Saturn. Ararita. Ararita. LVX, Lux, Ignea Natura Renaventur Integra. By fire, nature rejuvenates itself. The call of the second ray, the yellow ray of the active intelligence of Huarwe. Agad Adna Lunda, Hugo A Eoi Veai Codiz de Is Unig and Jalad Pilade Izaza. Pala Magix O Koa Sago. O Ka Olin Izaza Puruin Il Pritmad. Lorge Lab Zirto Noko Maade Hawati Shaida. The spirit of knowledge calls into the soul stars of humanity who require ideas omniform, both spiritual and physical, and therefore is made manifest the Horowin ray. Be friendly unto me, for I'm the same as your God, a true worshiper of the highest. It is my will that the solar ray, the active intelligence, go forth and manifest clarity and abundance and manifest the things in my life that I'm trying to achieve. Eta, Malkut, Bigudula, Bigabura, Leolam, Amen. Okay, that's 7 minutes with an explanation. So you could probably do it in 5 pretty easily. I think you could easily do full ritual in 5 minutes as a morning daily practice. You could, it would be totally fine to print out the rituals and or just read them off your phone if you want to bring up the documents, whatever, until you have the rituals memorized. Reading them out of the book is totally fine. In fact, I recommend it. This is a book that we have for our group. That's a Kabbalistic cross. Lovely illustrations to go with it. Lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram with the drawing, so you know how to draw all the pentagrams. Book decorated with the Hebrew. Things like this are really fun to make and make the ritual, the work. The middle pillar, which you could put in. Banishing ritual, the hexagram. The little things drawn out. Until you have them memorized, which really won't take very long. Read them out of the book. The other thing that I probably should mention is I do this a lot. If you look in our books, we're using the invoking spiral as a way to charge a glyph. So when I draw a pentagram, I then power it up, going from the outside 3 times to the inside, and then push the energy into the sigil, into the symbol to power it up. I'm also using my breath, push the energy. I've moved the energy around mostly with my breath and also with my hands symbolically, but the breath is really, the energy will really follow that. And so this invoking spiral, it takes the sign of the enter, the sign of the enter, Horus the attacker, this is Horus the protector, the sign of silence, it's a sign of Horus the younger, it's a protection sign. When you send energy out, this symbol keeps it from bouncing back. The sign of silence is a very powerful protective symbol. But the sign of the emperor in this system, we don't use it. You're welcome to use it. If you like it and it works for you, it's fine. A long time ago, my teacher taught me to use the invoking spiral, and I really fell in love with it and found it very effective. Putting energy into something, outside to the middle, clockwise, banishing spiral, scattering to the wind. 2 very powerful symbols built in one. You can visualize it as I'm winding up a spring. It's getting tighter and tighter, and I'm pushing the energy in, concentrating force. That's one way to look at it. You can also look at it as I'm lifting the root chakra up to the crown's energy. So it's the basic energy of survival becomes a spiritual energy, bringing the sexual energy up to the 3rd eye with enlightenment, bringing the aggressive energy of the solar plexus up to the throat chakra, where it becomes inward and becomes analysis, and bring it all to the heart chakra, pushing it out into the symbol. This depends on what you think is what you're comfortable with. But that would be a daily practice. You could get up and in 5 minutes, you can invoke a planetary energy, use the angelic call, send your will out to the world before you even start your day, before you even walk out the front door. So that you've already worked a work of magic to manifest what it is that you will in your life. So I think that will be the end of the recording. And thank everybody for watching. We're going to have a question and answer discussion period, and that won't be recorded. But if you would like to join in, you're free to join our Facebook group. I will post that in the comments. Thank you so much.